Okay, hello and welcome everyone to Conversations with Kathleen. Thank you for being here with us today. I'm Maria Pritchard. I'm the Director of Guidance and Operations at Human Beings Store and your moderator for these monthly sessions. So today we're doing something a little bit different. Conversations with Kathleen is one of the many perks of our membership program. And this monthly session is open to all our members and is recorded and sent out to our members each month. Over the last few weeks, as many of you know, we've opened up our membership with free access to our daily Lead and Succeed sessions. And in that spirit, we are recording today's session and we'll be sending this out publicly to our entire community for you to experience. So hope you all enjoy listening in today. Before we dive into today's content, I want to do some introductions because we have a few members of the Human Beings Store family with us today. So I will start with our leader, our founder and CEO, Kathleen Schafer.
Hi, I'm Kathleen Schafer, and I'm delighted to have you all join us today.
Thanks. So let's get some introductions from our guides, Courtney and Liana. If you want to start, Courtney.
Hi guys, I'm Courtney. I'm a guide at the Human Beings Store, and I'm also an educator for Los Angeles Unified.
Hey guys, I'm Liana Nielsen. I'm a guide also at the Human Beings Store, and additionally an integrative nutrition health coach.
Awesome. And we also have Marian Kennedy here today, who's one of our practicum graduates. If you want to introduce yourself, Marian.
Sure, great. Well, thanks for having me today. I'm Marian Kennedy. I'm a graduate of the practicum for the Human Beings Store, and also have worked with Kathleen for many years. In my day job, I'm a senior vice president for E3 Sentinel within the national security community.
Awesome. So great to have everyone here today. So one of the ways that we like to start these sessions is by just reflecting on our intentions and what we're hoping to experience. And this is a practice we use at the Human Beings Store in many of our meetings. It's also a way that we like to start our days, particularly in moments in time like what we're all experiencing right now. And so as you're listening to this, I just want to give a brief pause for everyone to just kind of reflect on what you're hoping to experience today, why you came to the Human Beings Store, what intrigued you about this experience. Great, and hopefully you can bring that into your experience of listening today. All right, so again, with Conversations with Kathleen, we usually focus on a step of the leadership connection model, which is at the foundation of all of our work here. It was created by Kathleen. And today we're focusing on one of the key leadership skills. So here at the Human Beings Store, we say there are 3 leadership skills: communication, conflict as a tool for growth, and conscious choice. And conscious choice is what we'll be talking about today. And that feels very relevant at this moment in time. And particularly because I know many of us are feeling like we don't have a lot of choices. And every day there's new information coming out, new restrictions, new things we can do, can't do. And so I think a lot of people are feeling limited in their ability to choose. And we have a little bit of a different perspective on that. So I'd like to start with Kathleen just talking a little bit about what does conscious choice really mean and how is that relevant to this moment in time?
Thank you, Maria. I agree. This topic of conscious choice as the key leadership skill really couldn't have come at a better moment, because you know, what so many people are experiencing is that there's a lot of, chaos and uncertainty and change happening out in the world. And, when that happens, what we're seeing is that people are making decisions about how we can engage or not in the world. And for many of us, we are in the stay safer at home mode. one of the nice things about the Human Being Store is we've been a virtual company for the last 2.5 years. So in some ways it's very familiar to us, but very new for many, many people. And when people think about their leadership and how they engage with the world, a lot of people are used to thinking about, well, there's all of this stuff happening out in the world and I have to respond to it. And so it's kind of an outside in. What we're talking about and getting at with the Human Being Store and this idea of conscious choice is that we're flipping that model and saying it's important for us to lead and to engage from the inside out. And the conscious choice piece is the ownership of the power that we all take to know that everything that we do, how we are engaging, is a result of our choice. And that's huge because, as you know, we've been talking about in the public sessions, is that we're at a time where we're really shifting the way in which we've engaged with the world. You know, from the moment that, you know, we're born, we've been put on this assembly line of what our lives are supposed to look like to be successful. You go to school, you get good grades, you graduate, you get a good job, you get a good salary, you get promotions, you get all these good things. And the world is always giving us things to respond to and telling us how to be in that assembly line way. And so a lot of people have never understood that they've had a choice about engaging in that way or not. And that's, for me, the beauty of this moment for us in this, you know, coronavirus pandemic, is that we've had to disengage from the assembly line. And there's been that moment, that gap, that pause. And in that pause, which is where you're, you know, saying that a lot of people are feeling this restlessness, we have to then choose. Are we allowing the outside world to tell us what to do, or are we allowing our inside, our leadership, our gift, our authentic self to come forward and to be the arbiter and the way that we engage with the world? So, go ahead.
Also, at this moment where it's such an interesting time, because it feels, a lot of people are saying it's like pressing fast forward on a lot of what's happening, and everything is just at a more intense degree. And particularly, we're seeing how our choices dramatically impact everyone around us. And we're seeing how just making simple choices of, you know, how much I leave my house or where I go and how I behave when I go to those places is having dramatic consequences on how fast this is spreading, how long it's going to last. And so it's this interesting dichotomy of people feeling like I don't have choice, and yet your choices are so important right now.
That's the beauty of what's happening, right? Is because none of this is any different than it was before. We're just more aware of it. For, you know, the 30 years that I've been doing this work, it's been based on the idea that one person can and does make a difference in his world and her world and our world. And look what you just said, it's true. It's really true. So, you know, this idea that, you know, a virus that we can spread kind of ill if we don't do things. Again, what if the conscious choice here is, yes, there's that possibility, and what's my choice about the good I can put out in the world right now? How can I lead? How can how I engage with this strengthen those with whom I'm living, those with whom I'm working, those with whom I'm living? I mean, that's the choice. We're either going to get into fear or we're going to lead and do it differently. And what this is showing, and again, I'm so glad you brought that up, is we all have the ability to choose how to do it. And for whatever we do, we are impacting the rest of the world.
So what would you suggest for people who are kind of feeling stuck in that loop of every day is driven by I have to rather than I have a choice?
I just, it's such an interesting one. And one of the things that's so important for people who are listening to recognize and realize about this work, about the leadership connection model, is that as long as I've been engaged with it, as long as I've been working with it, it's not something that you learn and, you check off like a diploma, like, oh, I've got it, now I'm done. I see it much more as a practice. I see it much more as something you continue to develop, throughout your life, more, like yoga or with a sport. You don't just go swing a tennis racket or do something once, you keep practicing it. And so for me, I'm still practicing it. And even though I have really shifted the way in which I work in the last handful of years, I am still aware of how much of that assembly line is present in me. Of waking up and going, whoo, I got to get to my desk. Oh, I've got to go do something. Oh, there's someplace I should be. And that's that, kind of unconscious choice about how I've been living my life. And so, the question is, the first thing is you got to just be aware of it. And most people are fairly unaware of how much this is driving them. So once you become aware, now you have the option to choose differently. And so what I say, because again, we're all still just in this moment where, those of you who've been listening have been saying, I feel like the deck of cards is still floating up in the air, right? I mean, nothing's settled down just yet. So in a gentle, easy way, my suggestion here is become aware of when you're wanting to do something or take some action or engage because you feel like you have to. And if you can just take that moment and go, wait, what do I really choose here? And sometimes you may choose to do the thing you felt like I should be at my desk. But if you can do it from a standpoint of, I'm choosing to be here because it feels good to me to be connected to my colleagues. It feels good to be a part of working on the things that we need to be working on. I like doing this because, I do get a paycheck, which is allowing me to eat. I mean, whatever it is, if you can understand that you're choosing it, it doesn't mean that all of our actions are going to be different, but it's that you've taken back the power. In addition, if there are those moments, and it is part of the beauty of what's being presented to us, I think Courtney said this in a conversation in one of our sessions a few days ago, if it's 2:00 in the afternoon and you're really feeling like you need a break and you want to sit and read a book, go do it. Because so much of what we feel like we have to be doing from that assembly line model is activity, but not impact. Mm-hmm. So I'm adding a second point here to this, which is I'm really encouraging people at this point to think about how less effort can produce greater results. And the less effort is, I don't have to just be sitting at this assembly line because it's between 8 and 6 and somebody told me I've got to be at a desk and I got to look like I'm working and got to be doing. But what is it that I can really contribute and choose to put forward in a very meaningful way? That means that maybe I don't need to spend all these hours doing these things just to show people that I'm sitting here, but I can do what I know that I can contribute that's got value and let that serve. And that's really, really powerful. Given the fact that most people are only productive 90 minutes to 2 hours a day, I hope that one of the things that comes out of here in terms of choices is that we allow ourselves to start making choices about greater expression and freedom in that expression and that contribution rather than feeling like you just got to show everybody how busy you are.
Yeah, I hope so too. I'd just like to open it up to our team, and if there's anything you all want to share, any experiences you've been having kind of working through this change in the way you're thinking about your time and your day and your own practice of conscious choice, any experiences you think might be valuable for our listeners.
I'll share. It's been interesting from a health perspective because all of a sudden we're not on these external schedules. So I think a lot of people are starting to really learn the rhythms of their bodies. So you're being able to sleep more. And for me, I've really noticed how much energy certain things take, and how before, and I used to live in New York for a while, you would just pack your schedule and go for like weeks on end. And being able to sit and have a lot more space and have a lot more silence, sitting on a really intense Zoom call or a couple a day, I'm realizing I'm tired. Okay, wow. To really take care of myself to the best of my ability, how do I structure my time? Where does my energy go? Where do I want it to go? And it's been interesting working with clients because you're seeing people learn new things about their bodies. And again, once you are feeling better, it's so much easier to be more productive. And the idea of, doing less but being more impactful is much easier to accomplish.
And isn't that beautiful about all of this coming from this gifts? Because you're right. I mean, one of the things that from being here at the Human Being Store is that we have a very focused, limited amount that we work with clients each week, because it does take energy. And it's not just, I get on this call and I talk for an hour. But there is this, when you're making this meaningful contribution of your gift, when you're putting your leadership out in the world, but you don't need to do it 40 hours a week, right? I mean, where did that come from? It came from the industrialized model, right? And so as we start to pull away from that, I know what you're saying is not only are people coming into balance with their health, they're going to come into balance with their leadership. And isn't that a beautiful thing? Because we're not there yet, but what's coming is all of the different ways that you can impact and lead that are going to come out of this time, that you're no longer just sitting at an assembly line doing busy work or trying to show people how busy you are, but you're going to start, seeing these new avenues and ways to actually put more of who you are forward. Mm-hmm. And that's not a drain. As you said, so many people are drained by their work and their engagement of the world. What's going to start to happen is those people who are using their gifts and putting it out, you're going to be fed by it. And that's going to shift things. We can talk about that a whole, in another conversations with Kathleen, but that's where we're going. But again, it's the choice in the moment and the intention of, am I offering and putting out the best of me, or am I just, sitting here at the assembly line doing what's expected of me? And it could be the exact same action, but your intention about that action makes all the difference, your choice about that action.
To go along with that, what I've really noticed is, because I have more flexibility in my schedule and I don't have to sit or go to my job for 8 hours and then leave and then drive home, when I take a break, I end up getting a bunch of inspiration, and I want to go back and sit back and do more work. So at 5 p.m., 7 p.m. sometimes I get inspiration and I want to go sit down and work, and I'll be like, I need an hour to go do this thing. It takes me 20 minutes. And then I get to get up and walk away. And I just think about the way I used to live, where it would take me hours to accomplish things. And I would be so worried to take a break, because the moment I took a break, I thought, I'll never go back to it. I'll never step back into it. And now I find myself having the conscious choice to take a break, and I step aside, and an hour later, I want to go back into it because it's my choice and I'm excited about it. And when I'm excited about it and it's my choice, it gets done quickly, and I'm on to the next thing of, which the next thing might be reading the book, right? Again.
But there you go. Isn't that beautifully said? So beautifully said. We're not aware, and again, that's what we're asking you to reflect on, of how much we're doing out of obligation in our life. And I guarantee you that when you're doing things out of obligation, and those of you who are parents and have kids, you see this all the time with your kids as they go trudging off to school, that when we do things out of obligation, it's a drain. Just pure and simple. And Liana, touched on that as well. She's saying we're so unaware of how drained we are by the lives we've been living. And so what we're talking about here is just exactly what you said, is when you make that choice that I'm going to do what feels good to me. I'm going to do what I'm feeling inspired to do in this moment. And when I start making those choices, everyone's worried that I call them the overlords of the assembly line, that if everyone were to make their own choices, that all heck would break loose. But isn't it amazing that the thing that's happening is exactly the opposite? It's not that you're not getting anything done. You're getting a lot more done, but you're doing it faster, you're more focused, and you're enjoying it a heck of a lot more. Right? If you don't come into that office at 9 o'clock every morning and you don't sit here until 5 o'clock in the afternoon, then you're not going to do what I need you to do, and I'm not going to pay you. That's how we've been living. And yet, how many people are there feeling guilty that they couldn't have spent a few extra minutes with their kids in the morning, or that they really just want to go out and take a walk at lunch, but they don't feel like they can, or, they have a parent or a spouse or a friend who needs them at a doctor's appointment, they can't get there. I mean, what a horrible way we've been living. What we're talking about here is making the choice to do it differently. And when you choose to step in here and lead for yourself, one of the beautiful things that's going to happen here is you're going to start changing the way everyone engages. And we wouldn't be here in this moment if we weren't asking for it. We've been saying for a while here at the Human Being Store, most people, Maria, I forget, 70-some people are unhappy with their work. That is not a way to live. What we're saying is figure out what you have to offer, choose to put it out in the world, and you're going to start to change the way the world engages with you.
I've had a few check-ins with clients who were feeling really anxious because they have completed work that took them, 8 to 10 hours to do, and now it's taking them like 4 hours. And they're like, I feel like I need to be doing more stuff. There's something else I should be doing. What am I not doing? But I'm done, and I did some extra stuff, and I started on a new project. And they're basically just asking permission, can I go have lunch with someone else who's in my house, or can I read a book, or can I have a phone call with my girlfriend? And tell everyone who's listening permission to do those things.
Right.
Okay.
But we're all saying the same thing, right? That there's so much more here than what we've allowed ourselves and chosen to see that's here. And wouldn't it be great if perhaps one of the things that comes out of this at some point is the recognition that maybe we don't need to be at a desk or doing something 8 hours a day. Listen, nobody works. I mean, I love what I do. I'm thinking about it all the time, but it doesn't mean that I have to be sitting here 8 hours a day to prove this. It's what Courtney's getting at. When you're inspired, do it, and you're going to get that much more that's going to come out of it.
Marian, is there anything you want to share about your experience and how kind of time has shifted for you in your job?
Sure. Yeah, I think similar to what Courtney said, I find that previously when I was in the office every day, and then, my break was basically my drive home, and then half hour maybe for dinner, and then I'm back, what I call second shift for several hours. So I'm finding that I don't have second shift because I don't have the distractions, and not that they were bad distractions, it's not that, but the little things that eat at your time and interrupt your thought process, so that you can't have focused thinking time or just quiet time that many of us do need to get our work done. So I'm finding, also where it's like, can I stop now, right? Instead of working till 9:30, and sometimes I still do that if I have to do that. So I'm finding I'm actually getting more time back than I had before, but nothing is, all the work that is getting done. In fact, probably, more so. And this is a time, I think, where, right, going back to conscious choice, we can choose to kind of put our head in the sand, and or we can choose to be on the offensive and be more assertive about the things that we want in any aspect of our lives. So, right, we can just sit back and say, oh, this is awful and it's terrible, and it is. But then what is it that we can each do, right, to serve, as Kathleen said. But also it's a good time for reflection, and we often don't have that.
Yeah, beautifully. Again, thank you for sharing that, because you're right. I mean, you're right at step 7, the reflect and refocus here, right? Which is, there is a choice, and I guess maybe this might even be a good thought to end on here. Liana is always asking me to give tools, so I'm going to give one, which is, and where Marian just led us right now, which is, we can look at this as being, kind of the end of times, like, oh my gosh, the world is falling apart. Or we can choose to look at this as something really beautiful is being created here. And I'm not at all diminishing the experiences of so many, that are challenging through this. It's just, if you're going to be oriented toward the problem, it's going to be very challenging to get toward the solution. So the exercise here that I would leave you with, one of the tools about choices is that you've just heard 4 people share with you how they are more effective, how they are able to engage more, be more, offer more of their leadership in this way, is that when you start to feel uncertain, unclear, somebody else is doing something, just take a moment and pivot and think, what good is going to come out of this? Make the choice to shift that. What can I do to put more of myself out? How can I feel better about my contribution? That's just, that shift is going to then lead you in directions and ways of being able to put yourself out there. So if there's one conscious choice, it's that choice right now. How you can see the positive of what can come from this, as opposed to getting in the swirl of all of the potential issues and problems.
Thank you, everyone, for participating, and everyone who is listening today. We are going to continue offering our open Lead and Succeed sessions, and the link to our upcoming sessions will be in the description of this YouTube video. It's also available on our website, Instagram, and in our weekly newsletters that are going out. So please come join us. And for those who are wanting to become a member, our monthly membership includes daily open sessions, curated group sessions around a particular focus area, these conversations with Kathleen sessions, and many more special offers. And we offer this membership for $99 a month, but we always offer a pay what you can option, because what's really important to us is giving people access to this work. So please reach out to us. We're happy to support you. We also have a lot of resources listed on our website at humanbeingstore.com/resources. There are links to Kathleen's books, which are 2 different books, both 28-day guides, which can be a great tool right now, particularly as people are looking for routine and healthy ways to engage on a daily basis. So for the next 28 days, you can have a practice. And Kathleen is also going to be offering a 28-day experience starting on Monday that we'll be posting on LinkedIn and on other platforms for you. So that'll be a really interactive way to experience this work. And we also have our Human Being 101 podcast, which goes through the 7 steps of the model using stories from people who have done this work. That's also available on our resources tab on our website. And if there's anything else that we can do to support you, or if you have any questions about anything we talked about today, you can always reach us at hello@humanbeingstore.com. So thank you again, everyone, for participating, and hopefully we'll see you at one of our Lead and Succeed sessions soon. Bye.